Ethan had always considered himself just another human, trying to survive in the vastness of space. He was not a soldier, not a hero, and certainly not someone destined to become part of an alien legend. He was a mechanic, skilled with his hands, able to fix almost anything that had circuits or engines, but hopeless when it came to anything involving politics, diplomacy, or intergalactic laws. That was why working on the interstellar slave transport station was both a nightmare and a necessary evil. The credits were good, and with those credits, he could fix his ship and get back to the quiet life he had dreamed of for years. On that day, Ethan was called to repair one of the energy collars worn by the station's latest batch of captives. These collars were used to keep dangerous alien species under control while they were transported or detained. Some collars were routine, simple fixes, while others were complex enough to take hours. Ethan hated the job because it forced him to see the fear and pain in the eyes of beings who had done nothing wrong to him personally. But he was good at his work, and good work meant survival. Among the prisoners was Ziriel, a tall and powerful alien with violet skin and glowing amber eyes. Her presence was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. She moved with a strength and grace that suggested she was trained for combat, and yet there was a quiet sadness in her expression as she sat restrained by the collar. The other captives gave her space almost as if they feared her. Ethan could not help but notice that she didn't just sit quietly. She watched the humans around her, every movement, every word, as if memorizing everything. The collar she wore was sparking dangerously, sending jolts of energy across her body. Ethan frowned. It was more than a simple malfunction. Someone had tampered with it. The guards were busy elsewhere, arguing about the shipment logs, giving him a small window of opportunity. His hands shook slightly as he began to work, the tools of his trade feeling heavier than usual. As he examined the collar, Ziriel's eyes met his. There was no anger, no pleading. There was just a look, sharp, calculating, and full of expectation. Ethan swallowed hard. He had read the manuals, followed the instructions to the letter. Fixing the collar meant making it function properly again, but every time he saw her shudder from the small shocks, he felt a pang in his chest. I can't just leave it like this," he whispered almost to himself. Then almost impulsively, he overrode the safety circuits and shut the collar down completely. Sparks ceased and the device went silent. For a moment, nothing happened. Ethan straightened, feeling a strange mix of relief and fear. He had broken the rules, and if the guards noticed, he would be punished. Maybe even thrown into the very cells he worked to maintain. Then Ziriel did something he did not expect. She stood slowly, her movements precise and deliberate. Her amber eyes shone with a strange intensity. She knelt before him. "By the law of liberation," she said, her voice calm but unwavering. "You have claimed me. I belong to you now." Husband Ethan froze. His mouth opened but no words came out. I just fixed your collar," he stammered. I didn't mean," Ziriel raised a hand, cutting him off. "Your intentions do not matter. On Vashara, a warrior freed by another becomes bound to them. You are my husband." There is no argument. Ethan's mind raced. Husband. He had never considered marriage, certainly not to a fierce alien warrior. He wanted to deny it, to explain, to run away, but something in her posture, in the firmness of her words, made him pause. This was not a suggestion. This was law, and laws in space could be absolute. The other captives stirred, whispering among themselves. Some nodded in approval, recognizing her statement as a declaration of honor. Others looked at Ethan with curiosity, as if he had suddenly become a figure of immense importance. The station itself seemed to shift. Guards began to notice the disturbance, their attention drawn to Ziriel's sudden defiance. "Stand down," a voice barked. One of the human officers rushed over, eyes wide. "She is restrained. Remove her from the floor." Ziriel turned her gaze to the approaching guard. It was not fear he saw, but strength. A quiet promise that she could defend herself and the human she now called husband. In a flash, she moved. Her hands, strong and precise, knocked the guard to the ground before he could even draw his weapon. Another guard lunged at her and she disarmed him effortlessly, using his momentum against him. Ethan's jaw dropped. He had expected panic, rebellion, maybe even violence, but not this. She was a warrior, and now he was caught in the middle of her world. He wanted to pull her back, to calm her, but he knew better than to interfere. If she fought for him, it meant she had accepted him, in the harshest possible way. The station erupted into chaos. Other captives shouted. Some tried to escape in the confusion. Ethan realized with growing horror that he had no choice. He had broken the rules, freed a warrior, and now he was part of a situation far beyond his control. "Come with me," Ziriel commanded, her voice low but firm. "You are my husband. I will protect you, but we must leave this place before they recapture us." Ethan hesitated. He had no combat training, no experience in escaping dangerous situations, and yet the thought of being left behind, unprotected, terrified him. He nodded almost instinctively. Together they made their way to a service corridor, moving quickly but cautiously. As they ran, Ethan tried to grasp the reality of what had happened. I can't be your husband," he said, breathless. "I barely even know you." Ziriel didn't answer immediately. She glanced at him, and for a moment the fierce warrior expression softened. "You freed me," she said simply. "That is enough. On Vishara, the law is clear. You are mine." There is no debate. Ethan swallowed hard. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. He had fixed engines, repaired circuits, even faced storms in deep space. But he had never faced a law that could bind someone to him by an act of mercy. He wanted to protest, but he knew it would be useless. She was serious, and the law she represented was absolute. The corridor ended in a small maintenance bay. Ethan spotted a shuttle, one of the station's old escape pods. It was barely functional, but it was enough. Ziriel examined it quickly, her hands moving with precision, checking for security locks and energy seals. "We leave now," she said. "You sit in the pilot seat. I will cover us." Ethan obeyed, hands trembling as he activated the controls. The shuttle shuddered, engines whining as it lifted off. Behind them, alarms blared. Guards shouted orders, and the station's security drones activated, moving to intercept them. Ziriel's voice came over the comms. "Hold steady. They will try to stop us, but I will not allow them to take you back. I do not fight for myself." "I fight for you, husband." Ethan swallowed hard, the word still strange in his ears. Husband. It sounded alien, foreign and terrifying, yet somehow it also carried a strange weight of responsibility. He wasn't ready for this. He had not asked for it. And yet, here he was, hurtling through space with a powerful alien warrior who had declared him her life mate. The shuttle shook as the station's security systems tried to disable it. Ethan fought to keep the ship steady, hands gripping the controls. Ziriel moved beside him, deflecting energy blasts with small glowing projectiles she carried, remnants of her combat training. She moved with perfect timing, covering him, protecting him, making sure he could focus on piloting. As the shuttle broke through the station's outer hull, they entered open space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, a dizzying array of light and color. Ethan exhaled, feeling the tension ease slightly. For a moment it was just him, her, and the infinite void. Ziriel turned to him, her amber eyes meeting his. "You are human," she said quietly. "Fragile, yes, but brave enough to act when it mattered. That is why I am yours. That is why you are my husband. Do you understand?" Ethan nodded, though his heart raced. He understood the words. The concept, the responsibility, and yet he still felt unprepared. How could he live up to the expectations of a warrior princess from another world? How could he survive the consequences of his choices? Ziriel's hand touched his arm briefly, a gesture that was both comforting and commanding. "Do not fear, husband. We will survive this. I will ensure it. But you must trust me. You must trust us." Ethan swallowed again, looking at the vast expanse before them. Trust. He had never trusted anyone fully in his life, and yet here he was, trusting a warrior he had just freed, bound by laws and honor far beyond his understanding. The shuttle drifted silently through space, leaving the station behind. Alarms faded into the distance. Ethan allowed himself a brief moment of relief. They were alive. They were free. And somehow, impossibly, he was now part of something far greater than himself. He looked at Ziriel, her form silhouetted against the stars, and realized that nothing would ever be the same again. He was her husband, and she would not allow anything to harm him. Not the station, not the guards, not even the universe itself. Ethan didn't know what awaited them on her home planet. He didn't know if he could survive the trials, the challenges, or the expectations that would follow. But as he looked at her, standing tall and unwavering, he felt something shift within him. Courage, perhaps, or determination. Maybe both. "Let's go home," Ziriel said softly, yet with unmistakable authority. "Your journey as my husband begins now." Ethan nodded, gripping the controls tighter. The stars stretched endlessly outside the shuttle's small viewport, but inside, Ethan's mind was anything but calm. He had thought the escape from the station would be the hardest part. He had been wrong. Now the vastness of space stretched before him, carrying him toward a planet he barely understood, alongside a warrior who had declared him her husband. Ziriel sat opposite him, her posture straight and regal, her amber eyes scanning star charts and navigation panels as if memorizing every detail. She did not speak, but her presence was commanding, almost suffocating. Ethan stole glances at her, trying to understand what it meant to be bound by Vasharan law. He had saved her, yes, but did that mean he owed her his life? His loyalty? His entire future? "You're quiet," Ziriel finally said, her voice calm yet firm. "Are you afraid, husband?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Afraid? Yes, a little. Maybe a lot. I mean, I'm not a fighter. I'm just me. A mechanic. How am I supposed to be your husband?" Ziriel's lips curved in a faint smile, almost amused. "Being a husband on Vashara is not just about combat or strength. It is about honor, trust, and courage. You have already shown courage. The rest will come." He shook his head, feeling more overwhelmed than ever. Courage, honor? He had barely survived a single station raid, and now he was supposed to navigate alien laws, interstellar politics, and the expectations of a warrior princess. He wanted to protest, but he knew it would be pointless. Ziriel's law was absolute, and she was unwavering. The shuttle approached the outskirts of Vashara's atmosphere, a planet that seemed to shimmer like molten metal from space. Its surface was jagged with rocky spires, and glowing rivers of unknown minerals snaked through deep valleys. Ethan's jaw dropped. It was unlike any world he had ever seen, alien yet beautiful, dangerous yet inviting. "Welcome home," Ziriel said softly. "You will see the full measure of my world soon, and you will learn what it means to be my husband." Ethan nodded nervously, gripping the controls. The shuttle shuddered as it entered the planet's atmosphere, the engines struggling against the gravitational pull. Ziriel leaned forward, her hands moving swiftly over the navigation panel, guiding them to a landing zone on a high plateau. The shuttle landed with a soft thud, kicking up dust and glowing minerals. The ramp lowered, and Ziriel stepped out first, scanning the horizon. Ethan followed, his feet feeling unusually heavy on the alien soil. The air was thin but breathable, carrying a strange metallic scent that made him cough slightly. As they approached the citadel in the distance, Ethan noticed groups of Vasharan warriors gathering. They were massive, towering beings with sharp features, their skin ranging in shades of violet and blue. Some wore armor. Others carried weapons that seemed both primitive and advanced at the same time. All eyes were on Ziriel, and now, on him. "They are waiting to test you," Ziriel said quietly. "Every suitor must prove their worth. But you are not just any suitor. You are my husband. That is unprecedented. They will challenge you, question you, and perhaps even doubt you. But do not fear. I will not let anyone harm you." Ethan's stomach churned. Test him, question him. Harm him? He had expected some cultural formalities, maybe a welcome ceremony, but this was something else entirely. He had no weapons, no training, and no plan for what awaited him. The warriors parted as Ziriel approached the central plaza, a vast arena carved into the rocky landscape. Ethan followed, trying to appear calm, though his heart pounded in his chest. In the center of the arena, a council of elders awaited, their faces stern, their eyes sharp. Ziriel, the eldest, began, his voice deep and resonant. "You have returned with a human. Explain why this being claims the title of your husband. On Vashara, such a bond is sacred. Only those proven worthy may hold it." Ziriel stepped forward, her stance unwavering. "He freed me. That is enough. By our law, he is my husband. He may be human, fragile, and inexperienced, but he acted when it mattered most. That is worth more than any test you can propose." A murmur ran through the council. One elder leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "And if he is unworthy? If he cannot endure our trials? The bond will be broken, or worse, he may not survive." Ethan felt a cold sweat on his forehead. Trials? Survive? He swallowed hard, feeling every ounce of fear he had tried to ignore. But when he looked at Ziriel, he saw her determination, her unwavering belief that he could face this challenge. Somehow that gave him courage. "You will face the trial by combat," another elder declared. "You may not fight with weapons, but you must demonstrate ingenuity, strategy, and courage. Failure will be seen as dishonor." Ethan's eyes widened. Combat, strategy, courage? He was a mechanic. He had fixed ships and machines, not battled warriors. He wanted to protest, but Ziriel's hand on his shoulder silenced him. "Trust me, husband," she said quietly. "You will find a way." "You always do." The trial began. Dozens of warriors advanced, testing his reflexes and decision-making. Ethan dodged and weaved, using his knowledge of machinery and environment to create traps and obstacles. He activated dormant energy fields in the arena, redirected power flows, and turned the environment itself into an ally. Ziriel fought alongside him, covering him when he stumbled, neutralizing threats with precision and grace. Ethan realized something he had never known before. Human ingenuity, combined with Vasharan's strength, was unstoppable. He didn't need to be a warrior like Ziriel. He only needed to think, to adapt, to survive. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. By the end of the trial, Ethan had outsmarted the challengers, protected Ziriel from harm, and demonstrated courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The council watched in stunned silence as the duo stood victorious. The eldest spoke again, his voice filled with respect. "You have proven yourself human, not through brute strength but through mind and heart. You are worthy of the bond you have claimed." Ethan exhaled, relief washing over him. He had survived. He had not just survived, he had triumphed. Ziriel's eyes glowed with pride, and she stepped forward, lifting his hand in acknowledgement. "You see," she said softly, "I told you. Courage and trust are enough. You are my husband, and now officially the world knows it." Ethan laughed, a mix of disbelief and joy. "Officially, huh? I never expected to become married to an alien warrior princess today." Ziriel's smile was faint but warm. "Nor did I expect to find a human with such resolve. But fate works in mysterious ways. You are mine, husband, and I am yours. Together, we will face whatever comes next." Over the following days, Ethan began to learn the ways of Vashara. He learned their customs, their laws, and their traditions. He attended council meetings, observed combat rituals, and even practiced basic defense skills under Ziriel's guidance. He was far from a warrior, but he was quick to learn, and his mind, always sharp with problem-solving, became an asset. The people of Vashara, initially skeptical of a human among them, began to respect him. Stories of his bravery and ingenuity spread quickly. He was no longer just a mechanic from a distant planet. He was Ethan, the human who had freed a princess, outsmarted warriors, and survived trials no one expected him to. Through it all, Ziriel remained by his side, a constant presence of strength, guidance, and increasingly warmth. Their bond deepened not just through law but through trust, shared experience, and mutual respect. Ethan began to understand the meaning of being her husband. It was not just about protection or honor. It was about partnership, loyalty, and courage. One evening, as they watched the twin moons of Vashara rise over the horizon, Ziriel turned to him. "Do you still wish to return to your quiet life among the stars?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. I think I belong here now. With you. I never imagined life could be like this, but it feels right." She smiled, her hand resting gently on his arm. "Then we will face this future together, husband. No law, no council, no enemy can change that. You are mine, and I am yours." Ethan looked out at the glowing valleys, the jagged spires, the alien world that had once seemed so intimidating. Now it felt like home. He had survived, he had learned, and he had become part of something far greater than himself. And by Ziriel's side, he knew he could face anything. Together, they stood, gazing at the horizon, bound not just by law but by courage, trust, and the unbreakable bond of two unlikely souls brought together by fate. And in that moment, Ethan understood the truth. Being her husband was not a burden, but an honor and a journey unlike anything he had ever imagined.